Today, I'm going to lean into designing a kelp farm for both cooking items and for storing XP. Fuel sources in Minecraft have come a long way. We have a lot of options these days. Sure, we can use coal, but we can also use lava, bamboo, and dried kelp. This is a personal time investment for me because I need more fuel so that I have plenty of glass and smooth stone to put my redstone stuff on. To start my own design, I wanted to look at two popular designs. The first one over here was used by Mumbo. It's the farm with the observer on top of the piston, and when the kelp grows... Excuse me, sir. Don't like rotten flesh. Anyway, it's the farm with the observer on the top of the piston, and when the kelp grows 3 high, the piston chops it off. This design is very simple to build, and it uses very minimal resources. The main issue I have with this style farm is that the piston only fires after the kelp grows 2 times. This sends large groups of kelp to the furnace at a time, but it also leaves longer periods of time where no kelp is cooking, which potentially wastes fuel. The second design I want to look at is by Ilmango, where you plant the kelp on the face of an observer and use a chain of observers to wrap the signal around to the piston. While this design is very compact and efficient, it is very resource heavy due to it requiring 3 observers and a piston for every 1 kelp block. This farm also requires some upkeep as it occasionally destroys a few water sources when 2 pistons fire at the same time. My plan is to make a design that is more efficient than the Mumbo farm and requires a little less resources than Ilmango's. I'm going to start looking into some mechanics and some redstone, and I'll get back to you guys whenever I figure some stuff out. Okay, I dug out a space where I want to put my kelp farm, and let me show you guys what kind of design I've come up with. Now I'm going to plant the kelp on a regular smooth stone block. Now I'm going to observe that kelp plant with an observer. Behind the observer, I'm going to have another block, and when the observer observes the kelp plant grow, it's going to power the block. And with the redstone dust on top of that block, when the observer powers it, it's going to power the piston, cutting off the kelp. I'm going to go ahead and build up this farm, and I will catch you back whenever we have the first layer done. Welcome back, you beautiful, beautiful people. This is the design that I have come up with. It's basically a 2x2x12 swimming pool with some kelp planted in front of the observers over here. As you can see, I did every other block. And what that does is it prevents the water sources from being destroyed if we get 2 pistons that fire at the same time. And I put a wall in between the 2 halves, which stops the kelp from getting flung over to the other side and then flung back. And then they get stuck in the cycle, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. So this way they hit the wall and then they just fall on through. I also borrowed the idea of using leaf blocks next to the walls so that the leaves do not connect to the walls from Ilmango. I thought that was a genius idea. And underneath the kelp growing platforms, I just have a simple water stream collection system going on here. And there goes one right now. The kelp flows down into a hopper, which is loading up a furnace with kelp. And this has been running for about 10 minutes so far, and we got a stack, which that's okay because we're going to add a few more layers to speed up production. Once the kelp finishes cooking in the furnace, it's going to go into a hopper directly into a crafter that is being ran by an observer clock. And when the crafter fully fills up with dried kelp, it's going to make a kelp block. That kelp block is going to go into the hopper above and directly into our fuel source for the furnace. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and finish up a couple more layers of the kelp farm. And then after we're done, we will look and see if the kelp production keeps up with the furnace. All right, we have 2 more layers to our kelp farm all constructed. And let's go up here and take a trip up the scaffolding so we can see how it's looking. Up here at the top, you guys can all see that this is the exact same construction as our very first layer. And one of the things that I really like about this farm that we've made today is how each piston that fires only fires the one piston that needs to fire. You don't get the whole chain reaction where it fires every single piston in the farm just because one kelp grew. But with that said, let's go check out how the hopper is doing for the furnace. All right, we are almost full. The hopper is almost full. We are keeping up with the furnace and then some. We're actually gaining on this last stack over here. So just in case we actually fill up that hopper, I made a little bit of a hopper chain so that we have a little backlog storage just in case. And then we can check the furnace and see, yeah, we have 34 dried kelp blocks already, and it is still going strong. Awesome. And one of the other things that I really like about the way that this farm is set up is how tightly you can stack the layers next to each other. It doesn't need any air gaps between each layer, which is great for getting as many layers as you can in a certain confined area. I am very happy with the way that this farm is turning out. And while we're on the topic of fuel sources, there's one more thing that I wanted to get done before the end of this video. Because if you haven't noticed already, we've been farming some dripstone over on the side of our wall of our cave here. And we're going to use this dripstone to make yet another backup fuel source. And that source is going to be renewable lava. So we're going to start by throwing a few of these cauldrons down here. We're going to give it an air block to breathe so we can put some dripstone. We're going to attach a little bit of dripstone to the bottom of each block. And we're just going to kind of make a little bit of a trough here so that we can put some lava sources in here. We're going to go ahead and fill it up. And now our handy dandy dripstone is leaking lava into our cauldrons, and before you know it, they'll be all filled up and ready for harvesting. Now that we got some lava set up, let's take a look back over at our kelp farm and see how it's doing. We only got one problem with this setup that we have going on so far, and that is furnaces are kind of slow. So we're going to switch that out for a smoker and see if this farm still keeps up. I'm going to break the furnace and replace it with a smoker. All right, and while we run the test on the kelp farm with the smoker setup down here, let's go ahead and clear out some space next door. Because I would like to build a cactus farm and eventually start smelting up some cactus so we can get some free XP. Let's get digging. Okay, and we have ourselves a 4-layer cactus farm, and we got a little collection system at the bottom. We got a little bit in there so far. Our real problem is that the smoker is too fast for our kelp farm, which means I think we might have to add one more layer to the kelp farm. So I'm gonna add a little bit more on top. And then hopefully that'll be enough to keep up. And welcome back, everybody. We have added ourselves a 4th layer up on top of our kelp farm, and it has proven to be just barely enough to maintain the speed of a smoker. All that's left to do is to hook up our cactus farm over here over to the kelp farm over here. Get that cactus cooked up and we get some free XP. I'll probably go ahead and do that off camera though. Now that we have a few farms knocked out for our fuel sources, I think it's time to do some end busting because me, Princess, and Stumpy, yeah, we took on the dragon. And now it's time for us to go get some wings and some shulker boxes. Let's go. I met up with PT and Stumpy over at the end gateway. I divvied out some ender pearls and we hopped right into the end busting.
Thank you.
You got a couple. Ew.
Ooh.
Bye, princess.
Bye. Where are you guys going?
Oh boy, we got a city with a boat.
That
You
one
got him. Oh, there's another one.
floating.
After I'd collected up a few shulkers, I headed over to the boat. I raided the chests, and then, yeah, you know what I did. I collected those beautiful wings. Just as I was getting ready to leave, I totally forgot that I had forgotten my dragon head, so I went over and grabbed that too and headed out of there. Oh baby, look at these beautiful wings, everybody. I am so happy. Look at these things. Oh, I've missed this so much. Now, don't worry. Because right after I got these wings, I took them on a little flight and I went and got wings for PT and for Stumpy both. So we can all fly around if we want to. And if you happen to be interested in watching the dragon fight, check out PT's video. She's got the whole dragon fight on her channel live right now. And that is where we're going to leave this video today, guys. I hope you found this video informative and inspirational. If you like this video, make sure to let me know by liking the video, and we will see you guys in the next one. Goodbye!